Today we're jumping into something that's, well, it's both tough and incredibly rewarding, supporting the mental well-being of refugees. If you're out there as a volunteer or a community leader, you know you're on the front lines. So let's explore how we can make that support as effective and compassionate as possible. This quote just hits the nail on the head, right? This isn't just about managing trauma. It's about building resilience. It's about empowering people to heal, to find their footing, and to really thrive in their new homes. And that's the bottom line here. Your work creates this incredible positive ripple effect.
So how are we going to tackle this? Well, we've broken it down into 4 key pillars. First, we'll dig into what the refugee journey actually looks like. Then, we'll cover how to communicate with care. After that, we'll talk practical support. And finally, and this is a big one, we'll talk about taking care of yourself. That's our roadmap. All right, let's dive into our first pillar, understanding the refugee journey. Because real empathy, the kind that actually helps, it doesn't just come from assumptions. It's got to be built on a solid foundation of knowledge.
You have to understand that the refugee experience isn't just one thing that happens. It's a journey, and often it's one of compounding trauma. It starts before migration, with war or persecution. Then there's the displacement itself, unbelievably dangerous journeys, losing your home, your community, everything. And then even after arrival, the struggle isn't over. You're dealing with language barriers, culture shock, and financial stress. Every single stage piles on a new layer of trauma, and it's so important that we get the weight of that.
Now, this is a really, really important point. In the West, we tend to think of mental health in a very individual, psychological way. But in many other cultures, it's seen as a holistic thing. It's about the balance of mind, body, spirit, and community. For instance, someone might express their emotional distress through physical pain, like a constant headache, instead of saying, "I feel sad." If we don't understand that, we can miss the signs completely.
And that's exactly why cultural competence isn't some course you take or a checklist you complete. It's an ongoing journey. It's about what's called cultural humility, basically accepting that you're not the expert on someone else's life and culture and that you're there to learn.
Okay, so we've got this foundation of understanding. Now what? What's the next step? How do we take that knowledge and actually turn it into action? How do we build that bridge of trust and really communicate with care? Which brings us right to our second pillar, communicating with informed care. This is where we get practical and talk about the skills you need to build trust using what are called trauma-informed practices. So, you've probably heard this term, trauma-informed care. But what does it actually mean? Well, it's a huge shift in thinking. It moves away from asking, "What's wrong with you?" and instead asks, "What happened to you?" It's all about creating an environment that feels safe and promotes healing, and making sure we don't do things that accidentally make things worse.
This whole approach really stands on 4 legs, you could say. It all starts with safety, making sure people feel physically and emotionally secure. Then comes trustworthiness. You've got to be reliable and consistent. Next up is collaboration. This means working with people, not doing things for them. And finally, empowerment, helping them see and build on their own strengths.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty. In a real conversation, this means active listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk. It's showing empathy, saying things like, "I can see this is really overwhelming." And remember, nonverbal cues. A gesture that means one thing to you could mean something totally different to someone else. And when you ask questions, keep them open-ended, not leading or judgmental. The whole point is to make them feel heard and validated. Okay, on to pillar number 3, providing practical, empowering support. This is where the rubber meets the road, turning all that compassion and understanding into real, tangible help. Just try to put yourself in their shoes for a second. You land in a new country, you don't speak the language, the systems for healthcare or housing are completely foreign. It's overwhelming, right? That's where you come in. You can be a lifeline, helping people navigate all this stuff, and just as important, helping them connect with others and build a new community. And hey, this stuff really works. It's not just a nice idea. Take a look at Arrival Aid in Germany. It's this fantastic volunteer program that gives people one-on-one help to get through all the bureaucracy. And the impact? It's huge. It directly cuts down on the stress, anxiety, and isolation that can be so harmful to a person's mental health. But here's the crucial thing. It's how we help that matters. The goal is always empowerment. So absolutely guide people on how to get resources themselves. You're teaching them how to fish. What you don't want to do is just do it all for them. And please, don't hit them with a fire hose of information. Just break it down step by step. All right, we're at our last pillar, and honestly, this might be the most important one of all. We have to talk about your own well-being. This isn't selfish, it's not a luxury, it's essential. I know it sounds like a cliche, but you really can't pour it from an empty cup. When you're hearing traumatic stories and you're deeply empathizing with people who've been through so much, you can start to carry that emotional weight yourself. It has a name, secondary trauma or vicarious trauma. It's the emotional cost of caring, and it's a very real risk in this kind of work. So you have to be really honest with yourself and look for the signs. Are you feeling just drained or cynical? Are you finding it hard to focus? Are you dealing with headaches or having trouble sleeping? Maybe you feel yourself pulling away from people. These are all red flags. They're your body's way of telling you to pay attention.
So what's the antidote? Well, it's not just one thing. It's about having a balanced self-care strategy. It's going to look a little different for everyone, but it's usually a mix of things like getting active, practicing mindfulness, staying connected with friends, having hobbies you love, and knowing when to ask for professional support.
So let's make this super clear. Do make self-care a regular, non-negotiable part of your week. Don't just push through and ignore those signs of burnout. Do set clear boundaries to protect your emotional energy. And please, please, don't try to go it alone. Stay connected with other volunteers who get it. That peer support is priceless. So there you have it. Those are your 4 pillars. First, understand the journey. Second, communicate with real care. Third, provide practical, empowering support. And fourth, take care of yourself so you can keep doing this amazing work. This is how we make a real, lasting difference. And I just want to leave you with this. Never, ever underestimate the impact you're having. Your time, your compassion, it all matters. You are literally helping to build a more welcoming and understanding world. So the question for you is, what's one step you can take, starting this week, to help build an even more supportive community where you are? Thank you so much for joining,